I'm Christy Noel. Thank you for joining us today. I am a career expert and author of 2 books, and really excited to share with you some information. Your personal career coach, and Scott Asai, is on the call with us. He's one of the co-authors of that book, and your career survival guide is also one of my books to talk about kind of what we're going to be talking about now, and how do you continue to job search and get ahead in times of crisis and global pandemics. So we know it's a very challenging time right now for many people to be looking for work, to be out of work, to be trying to get ahead in their job, and want to share some tips and strategies today with you to help you make it a little bit easier. Let's do the poll. I want to just because it'll help me and the other speakers understand kind of where you are in your job status, so we can make sure we are addressing and giving information to help you. So it's anonymous, so feel free to jump in. We'd like to know if you're looking for your first real job, if you recently lost your job but you're active, maybe you're unemployed but you're taking some time off and gearing up for a big job search. Maybe you have a job, but you're either uncertain or you're ready for a change, or maybe you're just happily employed and you are looking for new information. So, okay, well, good. Not good in that what the results are, but great in that you're in the right place to get some really great information to help you, because it looks like a majority of you are currently actively looking for a new opportunity and are out of work. So I know it's really tough right now, and hang in there. There will be opportunities, and we're going to help you find and uncover them. So with that, let me get started in introducing you to who is on the call with me. Am I screen sharing?
Yes.
Great. There we go. So, sorry, I'm just having mouse problems. Here we go. So as I said, I am Christy Noel. Joining me today is Jessica Williams. She is a career consultant and hiring expert and a resume writer and polisher. So she's going to give us some great information on resumes. Scott Asai is a keynote speaker. He's a coach. He's a TEDx speaker and an advisor with tech companies. And so he's got some great information to share with you about networking and how we can network during the holidays and during these virtual times to help get ahead. And then I'll share some tips on how to uncover some job opportunities that might not be readily available to you in postings, and how to uncover the gems that are out there. So, well, basically, I just covered the agenda. Why this is important and why we want to talk to you about this topic is because, surprisingly, a lot of people don't realize that December can actually be a really good time to be actively searching. And a lot of people look at this time and say, well, it's the holidays, I'm going to sit back and I'll get started in January. I need this downtime and then I'll be raring to go come, January 1st. But if you have that mentality, you have potentially missed out on some opportunities. And why you don't want to do that is because of the fact that there are use it or lose it positions. So a lot of companies have budgeted for a position, and if they don't hire before that budget runs out, then the position goes away. So there are a lot of companies right now who have positions that they had put into 2020, and they're looking to hire them, so they make sure they keep them going into 2021. There are seasonal jobs and jobs that were not filled earlier in the year because of COVID derailing them. So there are a lot of companies who are actively looking for the needs that they have right now. And if you look at what the world is going through right now, there's medical jobs, there are delivery companies, there are e-commerce, insurance, tax prep season. So looking at what's happening in the world, there's a lot of seasonal opportunities that you want to take advantage of. And a lot of companies, they want to hit the ground running in 2021, and they can't do that if they start their recruiting in January, because it takes time and then the interview processing. So even if you decide you want to, staff up in January, you probably aren't really going to have bodies in your office or virtual office into February, even later. So the companies are starting their recruiting process now so that they can really have their staff in place as early as possible in 2021. And then one of the most important reasons is that there's less competition right now in December. A lot of job seekers do take some time off and have that mentality, I'm going to really hit it hard come 2021. So when there are open positions and there are opportunities that are uncovered, a lot of times there's fewer people applying for them. So that only helps your opportunity to stand out and get noticed. And with that, I'm going to go back to introduce Jessica. And Jessica Williams is going to talk about, let me see, clearly I didn't, here we go. All right, Jessica, sorry about the delay in getting you your slides, but.
You're okay.
Everybody, welcome Jessica. She's going to talk about resume snatching strategies.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. I am in Northern California, so it is a little cold here. So you'll see me drinking from my warm mug. I am so excited to talk to you guys about resume snatching strategies, because your resume is definitely the best way to get you noticed right now, and you can showcase your personality and your professional background. So when you're creating an easily digestible resume, I want you to think and keep it simple. What happens is we want to make sure that we put all of our information on there, and you don't have to do that. Just give me the hard, cold facts. Give me the opportunity to see how you've been able to create change, how you've transitioned in your company, and if you've been able to create turnarounds that are notable. Super simple. Don't think too hard about it. I tell a lot of people to write down all of your kick butt attributes. You have a lot of things that you've brought to the table, but you don't put it in your resume. You don't think it's relevant. Write it down and then do a 6-second scan yourself. Take those 6 seconds and say, do I stand out during the scan? Am I able to say, oh, okay, that's somebody I want to talk to? So you have to do a lot of evaluating on your own to make sure that your resume is going to catch eyes. And be honest, if I don't want to hear that you were married 15 years on your resume, that's an amazing thing, but tell me how that would relay to your job opportunity. Keep everything straight and focused. Okay? Super simple. I like to do subsections on resumes. So a lot of the times I'll do a summary. So you create an authentic summary with 3 to 5 sentences. Then you have an industry asset section. Those are a lot of your key terms and your buzzwords. No more than 5, because then we can get a little crazy with it, because you're good at a lot of stuff. Keep it simple. The biggest part is the leadership snapshot. So if you have high impact numbers, make sure you put that in your leadership snapshot. The beginning 1/3 of your resume is crucial. I have a horrible tendency when I'm looking for candidates for companies, I go through the first 1/3 and that's it. I may never see your career experience. So make sure that beginning 1/3 grabs my attention and snatches my glasses off dang near. Here we go to the next slide. Okay, awesome. So I want to make sure that I put some myths to bed. One, it is okay to put a little splash of color on your resume. Now, if you are going completely rainbow, whatever. Just be mindful of the industry you're in and be mindful of the audience who's going to receive your resume. I definitely love to sprinkle a little splash of color in there. That brings my magic to life for other clients. Here's another myth. Please, please, please do not put your headshot on your resume. Not only is that strange, but that's what LinkedIn is for. So keep your keep your headshot off of your resume. Next, as I mentioned, hobbies and things like that, unless the job description requires it, do not put your hobbies on there. No, I do not care how long you've been married. I do not care that you skied off of the highest mountain wherever you are. Keep it off of your resume. It's cool and all that, but no. Lastly, it is okay to go beyond one page, definitely, if you have quality content to contribute. Now, if you're just trying to stretch that sucker and let them know that you've done a lot, no, thank you. Because after that first 1/3, I'm going to do an additional maybe 3-second scan. I'm not going to get to the very bottom of your resume. But if you have quality content that you can contribute, by all means, please add it, but do it intentionally. Give me your turnaround, your percentages, and numbers. If you are a revenue generating beast, definitely include all of those things, but do not be pressed to have a resume that's longer than one page. That's all for my myths. I kept them really short and simple. Those are the biggest ones that I can think of, but especially the headshot. The headshot is so weird. Please take it off if you have it. That's why you add your LinkedIn URL to your resume. Always. Because if I want to see you, I can just click on that link and see you on LinkedIn. Those are my myths. Okay, this is the fun part. So this one you have to do a little work with. Now that you have your resume all spruced up and finessed, you want to put it in front of the right people. So you have to connect with people who are in your like industry or in your goal industry and start networking. I know that'll be a complete different conversation, but you want to put your resume in the hands of the hiring manager. So you got to do some research. You want to look up the email of the individual who is either attached to the job description. So please read your job description, because a lot of the times they'll give you a contact person, and you will send a hello email and let them know you're applying for the position, and send them your resume with that email. And the same thing on LinkedIn as well. You want to make sure that you're making those connections to make your resume stand out outside of the other 100 people that are going to submit their application as well. And if you're really into investigating like I am, I go and look for emails on hunter.io, and then I can find usually like the hiring manager or something like that to really put forth the effort to show that I did my due diligence. I found the contact, the appropriate connection, and now I'm going to let you see this resume that I finessed and snatched. So it is a lot of work, but once you get in a pattern of keeping your resume up to date and keeping your resume fresh, then it's a lot easier for you to bring your product to life, so to speak, and put it in front of the right hands, because then it'll circulate. So you may not be the right person for my role, but I may know 2 to 3 other hiring managers who are looking for somebody just like you. So don't be afraid to introduce yourself, send that resume with that hello email, and make yourself visible. Because if you're not advocating for yourself, who will? Super simple, super straightforward. I don't want you guys to think too much about it. Job searching is definitely not easy, especially in this time that we're in. But with the right tools, like a refreshed and snatched resume, you're going to stand out above your competitors.
Just want to, thank you, Jessica. I appreciate that. Really great tips. And if you guys have questions, please put them in the chat. We are going to have an extended Q&A at the end, so we can answer any of your questions related to resume and any of the tips that Jessica provided. I'm now going to ask Scott to join in, and he's going to talk about virtual networking.
Great, thanks, Christy. And those are great tips, Jessica. I'm going to really probably do my best to kind of ride your coattails here. I want to talk a little bit about how to effectively network virtually, because that's kind of the world that we're in right now. Instead of waiting until things open up and, you know, doing in-person networking, whenever that's going to happen, there's going to be parts of the world and there's going to be parts of the country that are just going to stay like this for a long time. And I keep telling people that, you know, being able to present yourself even on a video screen, doing like video interviews is going to be something that's going to be a hybrid model going forward. So it's something that you have to learn skill-wise, and it's something that's going to be valuable for you probably for the rest of your career. So I'm going to try to go through about 3 tips really quickly, just to kind of give you something to think about. More practical type things that you can actually be doing. And I'm going to focus a lot on LinkedIn because I feel like that is really the place where recruiters live, and that's the place where people go to find you. That's actually where, when someone applies to a job and they Google you, that's usually where they're going to go first. So it's very important, first of all, to have a LinkedIn presence. And as you have it, you want to make sure that it's there ready to see and ready to stand out, similar to what Jessica said about resumes. So the first tip in LinkedIn is when you apply to a job, okay, and you hit, you know, apply on LinkedIn, it's pretty simple sort of format. Make sure that you're looking to see who the hiring manager or the person who posted the job is, because once you apply, you know, there's one thing about when you apply through an online site, something like a LinkedIn, is the problem is a lot of times that, you know, if your application doesn't have certain keywords in there and it's not hitting the mark, then your application may never make it there and it may never be seen. So what's really important is you want to make sure that you connect to a person, because people and employers who are posting on LinkedIn are paying money to have it on there. So they have to be able to have a person who's the hiring manager who, you know, is going to get all the, I guess, the applications. So you want to make sure that you contact that person by sending them an invitation to connect. Okay. And I'd say for the most part, they usually do connect with you. The question, I mean, I think the challenge is a lot of times is how do you continue that conversation? That's something I'm going to sort of go into a little bit after this. But what you want to do is after you apply and you contact and you connect with the hiring manager, you want to make sure that you express some interest as to why you even applied in the first place. Basically, you're just trying to get on their radar screen. Okay. You want to make sure that you're, you know, top of mind. You want to make sure that, you know, you're the one of the few people who actually did reach out and contacted them, didn't just hit easy apply and just hit submit and said, okay, I'm just going to sort of, you know, roll the dice at this point. You want to be proactive, and you don't want to just sort of sit back and wait, because if you do, you're going to get, you know, lost. You're going to get pushed with the rest of the crowd, and you're not going to stand out at all. Okay. So that's the first tip. Point number 2 is, what do you do once you accept the connection? Okay, a lot of times people think like, oh, okay, well, I sent a connection, they connected, yay, I did it, right? Well, the reason why the majority of the people you don't talk to or you're connected with on Facebook and you consider them like Facebook friends is because you don't have a conversation with them afterwards. Okay, you don't want to do that on LinkedIn. You don't want to connect with someone and congratulate yourself because they accepted your connection, because quite frankly, you're still a stranger to them, right? You haven't done anything, okay? So one thing that I think that has worked for myself, particularly during this time, is that a lot of times when you connect with someone, you know, it's like, oh, what do I do now? Do I send them an email? Do I send them a message? Are they going to respond to me? Well, what I find is now pretty much everybody is working from home. There are some of us who are working jobs where we're physically going in. But if you're working from home, chances are you're available. Okay, I'm not saying that you're not doing anything, okay? But if you're looking for work or you have a remote job right now, okay, then you are available to get on a video chat, right? So what I found is that more times than not nowadays, once you do connect with somebody, it's pretty easy to send a message or an email or whatever you want to, and say, hey, are you open to hopping on like a 15 to 30-minute video chat really quickly? And understand that the goal of this is just to connect with them. It's not to sell yourself. It's not to, you know, ask for a job. It's really just to get to know them better. And when people say to me like, well, what do you talk about? Well, I don't know. What do you talk about if you grab coffee with a stranger? I mean, just ask them questions like a human being. Don't overthink it. Don't, like I said, try to sell yourself too hard. Make it something that, it's a first impression and you can sort of continue the conversation at that point. And what I find is that when it comes to emails, you can send an email back and forth like 100 times, but you have a 15-minute conversation on video and it's worth like 100 emails, right? In terms of getting to know them. So once again, once you do accept that connection on LinkedIn, offer to hop on a video chat with them, because you can for the most part. And if they reject you, they reject you, but do your part and be proactive. All right. Point number 3, okay, and this is probably one of my favorite points, is the idea that you have to have a system, and you have to create a system that's going to work for you when it comes to organizing your contacts. Okay. So one thing that I used to do before I realized that there's things like Salesforce and HubSpot and stuff like that is I just created like an Excel sheet, and I would put people's names in there. And I got a little bit anal. I would actually color code in terms of how I contacted them. Was it a text? Was it an email? Was it, did we meet in person? Was it at an event? Whatever like that. And I would put like maybe like a little bit of a note, so I would know how to pick up the conversation back up, and then I would date it. Okay. I know that sounds like kind of a lot. And quite frankly, nowadays with different software, like I said, like Salesforce or HubSpot, where you can get like a free account, those are things that are pretty easy to plug in. So once you talk to someone, you can just put in their information, and then you can, it sort of syncs everything. Okay. The point is that I don't really care what type of system that you use. You got to find something that works for you, but you have to figure out how to organize your old and your new contacts. Okay. And the reason why that's important is because you want to get it to the point where you can sort of automate this process. Okay. You kind of want to be able to, like, it's literally like putting a reminder in your phone and having an alert go off, right? You don't really want to have to think about it. Okay. An extreme example is like what I do for myself is I tend to put reminders like crazy in my iPhone. If I lost my phone, I would probably be done. But I literally have alerts going off like multiple times a day, and we're talking about things like do the laundry, go grocery shopping, follow up with this person, sort of thing. And it sounds kind of silly at first, but the reason why to me it's important is because I don't want to have to forget these things. I don't want to make more work for myself, right? So I would say that one thing that people focus on a lot is, oh, I networked because I reached out to someone, they accepted my connection. Or when we used to go to events, it's like, I passed my business card out. I got their business card, right? Okay, so I'll say this is my own sort of statistic. It's not like researchable on the internet. It's sort of my own stats, but I believe that when it comes to networking, 10% is meeting the person, but 90% is the follow-up piece. And the reason why people don't network normally very well is because they don't want to do that 90% work, because that's the hard part, right? There's not really a formula to do it. It's just you follow up. Some people are going to get back to you right away. Some people will not get back to you. And for most people, they're going to get back to you after like the second or third time you're going to reach out to them. Okay, they just want to know if you really want to get a hold of them, right? And a lot of times we just forget, we don't respond to texts, we forget to get back on email, things like that. Okay, so understand that if you're following up and you've created a system that's going to work for you, and I emphasize you, then that's what you can go to, and that's going to help you. And that you want the system to serve you. You don't want it to stress you out. You don't want it to, oh, I'm copying someone else's because it works for them. Well, quite frankly, if it works for them, great. If it doesn't work for you, switch it up, make it work for you. Okay. And my last tip is in terms of LinkedIn, since I'm focusing on that a lot, is there's a stat that I've read that really stood out to me, and it's always something I've gone back to, is that on LinkedIn, I'm not sure how many people are on there. It's not as popular as some of the other the social platforms like Facebook and Instagram, and even something like a TikTok or Snapchat or whatever like that, even Twitter. But LinkedIn is the most focused social networking network out there. It may not be the most attractive, it may not be the most fun, but that doesn't matter, okay? Because that's really where recruiters hang out. But what I want to emphasize is that the 1% in this particular slide stands out because only 1% of people who are on LinkedIn actually are engaged, okay? And what I mean by that is clicking like for someone's comment is not necessarily being engaged, okay? What I'm talking about being engaged is that when you're commenting on someone else's post, when you're tagging other people in the post, when you're posting videos or pictures or things like that, right? Think about all the things when you're scrolling through LinkedIn in your feed, what stands out to you, okay? And the reason why I'm going to focus on commenting maybe on someone else's is if someone else has a larger following than you do, I mean, ride their momentum. You know, I mean, if you're posting, you're like, oh, nobody's commenting on my stuff. It's because everybody's posting, right? But if you have an influencer that you're following and you can comment on theirs, someone who's going to be looking at their content may look at your content, and it may get you an extra follower. It may get you a connection, right? You know, so make sure that if you're going to be on LinkedIn and you have a profile anyway and you filled that out, that make sure that you're actually doing something to be found. You're doing something to be engaged. Don't just say, oh, I signed up for LinkedIn, I have a profile, boom, like jobs are going to come to me. That's just not how it works. Okay. It's, you have to get in the game, and you have to be a participant, and you have to do something to make yourself stand out, because otherwise you're going to blend in with the rest of the crowd and nobody's going to notice you. So hopefully those are practical tips that could help you. And we'll talk a little bit more into detail when we go into Q&A, but those are things just to kind of chew on, and something that you can go home and do, and improve your LinkedIn profile, honestly, overnight.
Thank you so much, Scott. That was awesome. And I'm going to tag team off a lot of what you said as well in my section as well. And I saw that we got some really good comments coming through, so we will address a lot of the questions and specifics. And what I want to talk about is help you uncover job opportunities, especially now during the holiday season, when those of us in California or Southern California are on lockdown, and maybe you have some more time to be doing some research and looking to see what is out there. But I do want to start by cautioning that job boards are fine, but up to 70% of jobs are never even posted on a job board. So you can't just look at job boards only and be submitting a resume for those and then sitting back and hoping that's enough. So certainly I'm not saying don't go to job boards and don't apply to jobs that you see there, but don't let that be your only place to uncover opportunities. And as Jessica and Scott both mentioned, if you do see a job on a job board, submit it through the channel that they recommend, but also use your connections, use LinkedIn to find the hiring manager, somebody in the company. Hiring manager is ideal. The recruiting manager or the person who will be in the department. But even if you can't find that person, finding anybody in the company, and even if they're not your BFF, but you know somebody who knows somebody to forward that resume and get it in the door, you're much more likely to get that resume reviewed and much more likely to get an interview. In fact, one of the stats that I saw said if you have a referral, it's up to a 50% chance of getting an interview. If you don't have that referral, it's a 3%. So really, LinkedIn is so important for helping you uncover who you know or know somebody who knows somebody to be able to help you there. Research. So you looked at your job boards, but now let's look for opportunities that may not have been posted yet, or may never be posted, or somebody doesn't even know that they're looking until they come across you. And that's where looking at industries that are hiring. We talked a little bit about this at the beginning. So what's happening in the world? What's happening in your particular area? Where is the growth? Where is the expansion? And you can do that by looking at industries, looking at the news, looking at the finance sections of your favorite publication online or otherwise, and really understanding where the movement is. And then getting on LinkedIn and finding out what companies are in those industries that they're hiring remotely or in your area. And then the next step is to do your research to find somebody who can make you an introduction for you. And because we are in the holiday season, this is a really good time to reach out, as Scott mentioned, to make connections and to maybe warm up some cold connections that you have, because you don't have to necessarily have any other reason than to reach out and say, happy holidays, I hope you're doing well, and then open the dialogue again to start to engage in networking. And networking is not just about asking, it's about giving, and that's how you keep your contacts, and that's how you get the engagement and you get the assistance. So make sure you are asking and giving at the same time. Ask how you can offer to help if there's any information that they need or any introductions you can make while you're asking for an introduction specifically to a person or somebody within a company. Maybe ask for informational interviews. This is a great time to ask for informational interviews, especially if you're looking at maybe making a career change or trying a new industry or a new position. And you're not going there to pitch yourself, you're going there to actually uncover information that will help you determine if this is actually the road that you want to go or in the pursuit that you're interested in. But it also makes a new connection for you, and you get the opportunity to maybe find out who else I can talk to for more informational interviews, and those can lead to potential opportunities or introductions to people who have opportunities. And as Scott mentioned, this is a great time to do informational interviews because people are doing them virtually. So it's not that hard to make time to give somebody an informational interview right now. There's no meeting for coffee. There's no going to an office. There's no taking a meeting. So you could just make it very simple and have a 15 or 20-minute phone call, Zoom call, Skype, Teams, whatever, makes it, whatever works best for the person you're interviewing. Again, this is, remember, you're asking information of them, so you're going to make it completely tailored to their convenience. The time, the location, the method, and the length of time. And I always say, ask for 15 minutes and honor that, or 20 minutes, whatever you can get. I do have a free guide on informational interviews and their importance at my website. If you haven't already downloaded that, we'll link to it too in the follow-up email, because they are such an important tool, and they do often lead to opportunities. That first informational interview may not, but as you do more and more of them, you're going to uncover new contacts, new opportunities, new introductions that are really important. But as I said, I really like starting here in the holidays because people are in the holiday spirit, they're in a giving mood, and we're all virtual anyway. So and people want to give back. And so that they can give back by helping you learn more about what they do for a living. And that is our presentation part. I do want to open it up to Q&A, and I've seen a lot of questions coming through. Leonka, do you want to tell us some of the main comments or themes or questions, and
yes,
we'll get started. And then please keep them coming if you guys have more questions.
So Jessica, I wanted you to answer a question that I believe Tommy made. And his question was, what needs to be at the top of your resume? He said he has a short skills summary. And I sometimes review resumes a lot, and it varies about what's at the top. Is there like a skills summary, or like, this is my objective? I know that used to be a thing. I still see those on resumes when I'm reviewing resumes. So that's a great question. Should I put my address?
Okay. So let me go ahead and address that. So with your summary, and I call it an authentic career summary, because you are putting what you bring to the table. And I think that's what is a common misconception, that I need to have an objective. I know why you're applying for the job, but tell me why you're the right fit. That doesn't have to say, I don't want a general statement. That's why you have to tailor your resume per position. So in that beginning summary, you want to make sure you mention, like, hey, if you are super good at communicating, make sure you articulate that. Make sure you are telling people that I come in and I generate revenue. I'll take you from zero to 100,000. Make sure you tell me why you are special. As people see, if you're looking at resumes, I'm not going to pay attention to the general statement or objectives. I'm not going to pay attention to that. I have a short attention span. So when I'm reviewing resumes, I need you to stand out and tell me why I need to pick you over the other 500 people that I'm looking at. Do not put your address on your resume. Please do not do that. I tell people just your city and state. As Scott mentioned, a lot of us are doing remote. I've been putting remote ready on a lot of my clients' resumes. So like, I'm in there and I'm ready and I'm tech savvy, let's go for it. But do not put your address. That's I don't want to say it's old, but it's old. Let it go. So you want to put city and state specifically, because I have a lot of people who are looking outside of state. Let them know you're open to relocating if that's your specific scenario. But make sure you're very, very clear in what you bring to the table in your summary. I don't care if it's 3 lines, I don't care if it's 5 lines. Just making sure you're telling whoever is reading that resume what you're going to do for that company. You have 2 questions that you need to resolve: how you're going to make your hiring manager's life easier, and how you're going to either save costs or make money. That's all people care about.
Thank you, Jessica. That was awesome. Scott, I have a question for you. Neha, I apologize if I pronounce your name incorrectly, but she's asking, as an international candidate, are there any different resources to find jobs apart from LinkedIn?
Sure. I mean, LinkedIn is great. And I think the reason why LinkedIn is great is because you can actually connect with the person. But I would always say too, if you're applying to a job, you've done your research, it's best to actually apply if that particular company has a website and they posted the job on their website, because you want to go through as least amount of layers as possible, right? When you're going through like a third party site, I don't even know if Career Builder or Monster still exists, but let's assume that they still do exist. When you're applying through there, you're going through like a middleman, right? Why would you want to do that? Why don't you go directly to the company? So if you want to apply to like Apple, I'm just saying hypothetically, right? Like go to their site, see what job postings that they have on there, and go that route. But if you so I think that LinkedIn is great, and I think the reason why it's great is because there's humans behind those profiles. But if you are applying you want to apply to a particular company, hopefully they have the job posted on their site, because I think that makes the most sense. But you want to, like I said, you want to be able to go directly to them as quickly as possible. You don't want to have to go through different layers just to get there. Because if you are, there's a better chance that your resume or your profile is not going to be seen. And that's on your part. There's so much you can't control, but the part that you can control is giving yourself the best odds possible.
And I want to jump in on and 2 things that Scott and Jessica said, in that yes to tailoring your resume for every position. And what I don't like about LinkedIn Jobs is it makes it very easy for you just to hit a button to apply, and they're just going to send either your profile or whatever resume you have, and it's not customized and it's not going to sell you for that position. So you can use LinkedIn to see what jobs are there and other job boards. But then, yes, customize your resume, put those impact metrics, as Jessica said. So tell them how you've been successful in other roles so they can see that you're going to be successful in a new one. And then use LinkedIn to try and find that person in the company that you can send it to directly. So as Scott said, so you don't go through layers, you're going to a direct person as soon as and fast as possible. You can still submit on LinkedIn and still submit on a job board, but also find that person inside the company to get your resume to. And there are still job boards, and the different job boards focus on different industries. And so not all jobs are on LinkedIn, and it's one of the more expensive ones. So if a company's got a budget, they might not be posting there. So to answer the original question, there are other places you should be looking outside of LinkedIn. Jessica, do you have any suggestions? I saw that you had thumbs up to Scott that there are some of those job boards still there. Is there anything?
Diana, actually, Christy, and there's actually, if it's an international person, there's like they have to make sure those companies are H-1B friendly.
Oh, okay, thank you.
What were you saying prior about the job boards, right?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, Monster is still alive. Career Builder. One of my favorites right now is Mira Jobs, mirajobs.com. It's very similar to LinkedIn, but you post your resume on this platform and the hiring managers come to you. So it's a little less stress on your end, and it's a little easier for you to get conversations started. LinkedIn is the same way, but I think it's very important to kind of step outside. LinkedIn is definitely my go-to for job searching because you have everything in one platform. The people, the connections, the conversations, but it does no harm to get your feet wet in other areas. So mirajobs.com. And then I saw somebody mention nonprofits. You want to look at idealist.org. That's also a really good site if you're looking for nonprofit, like fellowships and things like that.
Jessica, can you type both of those in the chat for everyone, please?
I sure can.
Thank you. And then I just wanted to ask Denise's question. She says she has a career in nonprofits and academia. And she wants to know, how do you grab people in your resume or on LinkedIn when you don't have revenue or profit numbers or measurements like that, which I actually identify with because I'm an executive assistant by trade. And so I don't have numbers. I know how I do it, but I would love to hear anyone to answer that question.
I would start, and then I'll love to hear if Jessica and Scott have anything to add, is saying the metrics are important for the job that you did. So you're going to show how you were successful in what you did, even if it's not specifically to what the other job can be, because if you've done something successful, you're going to be successful at another thing. So if you're a nonprofit and you've raised money, or you've increased the open rate of your emails, or you've brought in new donors, or you've increased engagement, all of those things are extremely important and are transferable skills. So you're going to focus on the transferable skills and still show the results that you had in your position. And then you can show that you have strong communication skills, or you have strong customer service, or whatever it is. And all of those things are still important in another industry. So really put an emphasis on what you've done and less about who you did it for. Jessica, I'm sure you have some additional ideas.
Well, I'm thumbs upping you, because I'm like, yeah, you hit the target, but I also want you to focus on, if you've built partnerships and you've streamlined the communication, that's something you really want to focus on. That is huge to a nonprofit, especially academia as well. If you can build partnerships and you can talk to people and make them feel encouraged about your nonprofit, make them want to donate, then you have a skill. That is a golden mouthpiece that you need to utilize and continue to support and empower, because not everybody has that. Sorry, my nose ring gets stuck in. But it's definitely something that you want to leverage. Building partnerships is not easy. Communicating with people is not easy. So you want to leverage that when you're going into a nonprofit space or academic space that, you know, you don't have the super metrics, right? Super metrics are cool, but you still have additional transferable skills, like Christy mentioned, that you can leverage, and you can still be a bad egg contributor to whatever organization you apply to. I don't want to curse, so I'm working on it. It's definitely, and yeah, the partnerships is the biggest for me, because if you can build a partnership, I know you can build dang near anything with my organization.
And that's how I feel about it. If you can sell, if you can communicate, if you can write, if you can speak, if you are good with numbers, if you can project manage, you can have great follow-up. I don't care what industry you're in, a company needs that. And so I always say, as a hiring manager, I'd much rather hire somebody who's really good at marketing and is not from my industry than to try and train somebody. So if you've got all the skills that I want, even if you haven't used them in the exact way that I need them, you are an asset to me. So don't back away from those opportunities, or think that you have to have every checkbox marked on a job description to be able to apply, because if you've got some of the key ones, you're golden, and they're going to want you, and they'll train you with their company, their processes and procedures. But finding people who can, as I said, sell or bring in new customers and are good at customer service, that's so important, and there are not a lot of people out there who are doing that. So you need to be proud and stand up and customize that resume so that people know that that's what you do and that's what you're about.
I'll just really quickly say that I think formatting matters a lot when it comes to resumes and your LinkedIn profile. So I'm not saying anything that everybody else didn't say already, because quite honestly, everyone took all the good answers. But I will say that, when it comes to like in Leonka's, like in your situation, I think it's about like data speaks, and you could figure out how to quantify something. It doesn't have to be sales. It's not, you know, it could be partnerships, it could be communication, whatever like that. But we can always find some type of number we can attach to. And when you're able to list that like in a bullet point format, something that people are easy to scan over, right? People don't have time to, recruiters don't have time to read your whole resume or your profile. They just want to like scan through it. I've heard like they spend anywhere from like 3 to 5 seconds on it. Okay, so if that's the case, then you know in your bullet point in your first experience or whatever like that, your latest experience, just you know bullet point something out with a number in there. I increased partnerships by 60%, whatever like that. I mean that speaks. You know, it's a result. So like I said, nothing you know out of the ordinary that everybody else didn't say. I just think that when you're thinking from an employer standpoint, make it easy for them.
Really quickly, I just wanted to add, for me and my resume, I always put I stayed within my budget, or I met my budget, or I went under my budget. That's really important for if I'm supporting an executive. And then the second thing that I say is I increase the productivity of my executive, because my main goal is for them to be able to do as much as they can in their day. So increasing productivity could look a million different ways, but I always say, what that is telling them is I took something off of their plate so that they could focus on something that was more important. So I think that's really important. Really quickly, iPhone, I'm not sure what your name is, but your hand is raised and I'm assuming you want to ask a question. So I'm going to unmute you so you can ask a question. If you could just tell us your name.
I'm Diana, and I wanted to let you guys know that there's actually a website for international candidate. That's the reason I raised my hand to make that comment. Because if she's an international candidate, is she an H-1B or is she just from another country? Because international can mean everything.
She says she has a student visa. Can you put those, can you type those in the chat?
She can email me. I have a better idea. She can just email me.
Can you message her privately and give her that information?
I just did that actually.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so our last question, because I think we have to wrap it up, right, Christy?
We're getting close, yeah.
Okay, from Scott, he said, how can we find the hiring managers, recruiters on LinkedIn for a particular job posting if it's not directly reflected or shown on the posting? Really quick, I'm just gonna say this and then anybody else can jump in. You have to research. So I've done this a million times. I'm like for lack of better words, I'm a G when it comes to finding jobs, but you have to research. So if there's a company, let's just say Ralph's, and they're doing a hiring manager or they're posting for a certain job, I then will go to Ralph's and go on the team page and look for the department and look for the VP and I'll figure it out, and then go on LinkedIn and look under Ralph's and try and search their name. And it may take you 30 minutes to an hour to find this one person. And then you have to figure out what their email address is for. And so I think I've read this a lot of times in Christie's, because I do a lot of Christie's proofing. If you're taking this much time for each job, you have to make sure that this job is a job that you really, really, really want, that you're a perfect fit for. Because if it's like you're an okay fit for, you may not want to spend that much time doing that for this particular job. So when you're putting this amount of time, you should make sure that you're a perfect fit for this job, so that the time that you put into it will actually, once you submit your resume, they're like, oh my gosh, I have to have this person. She is the perfect candidate. But I'll let everybody else answer too. Sorry, I had to jump in for that one.
Well, I do say that because you do need to customize your resume and your cover letter for every position, and that does take more time than hitting submit for, you know, every random job out there. That doesn't take any time, but that's not going to produce real results either. So you're much better off spending more time on those roles that you are aligned with to get your resume to be popping off than to just spam a job board and say, well, I tried, look at that, I sent out 100 resumes, but nothing happened. Well, yeah, because it was a general resume, you didn't customize it, you didn't send it to individuals. So basically it went to the black hole and nothing was ever going to happen. So one of my hacks for finding the person, so this is assuming you've done some research like Leonka just said, and you kind of narrowed down who you want to send the resume to. One of my hacks is, a lot of times the companies will have, when they send press releases, their press contact is an internal person, and you can see the model of their email addresses. So if it's Stan Smith at company name, or S Smith, or S. Smith. So once I've figured out kind of their little model of their email address, I'll try that with the person's name that I've done my research on. And so thanks for the thumbs up, Jessica. So I guess it's not my own personal hack, but this is what and then I send it a couple times, and then oftentimes I get it right. Most of the times I get it right, and it gets through. So yes, research and find out. And then again, if you can't find the exact person, you're better off finding somebody in there, even if it's in the department or even works for the company, and use that hack than to just send it to the job board and kind of sit back. Jessica unmuted herself, so I can tell she's ready to jump in.
No, I just wanted to say, like, that is a really good hack, and it is your own personal hack, because not everybody does that. Not everybody sits there to take the time to figure out the ending of the email. Now I just got to put your first initial and your last name, right? That is a huge hack. And I think that doing your research, like you said, that's unparalleled to anything else. I can apply to 100 jobs, but if I take 5 of those jobs a week and put forth that effort of the research, of looking on LinkedIn, making those connections, setting up those coffee chats, as Scott talked about, those 15 to 20 minutes of like an interview, essentially, to see who could pass your resume around. You can't be shy. This is your time to be bold. If you want a position, you need to be bold and aggressive. I'm not saying overly aggressive, but be aggressive and assertive. People like to know that you're putting in the initial effort. So if you're going to track me down, then I have to read your resume just on merit alone. So be aggressive. Sorry, I'm muting myself now.
we love the passion. No, you can always unmute when you get excited like that. Leonka, do we have any last questions before?
No, I think we can wrap up now.
Okay. Great. So just a reminder, everybody, for more tips like the ones we've been sharing, and more information on building your career, your personal career coach is available at your favorite retailer. It's not just me, there's 25 other contributing authors like Scott, and we tell our own stories. So what I like about this book is that it's not this how-to book in a sense of a book that you get at school. It's our own stories of our successes, some of our failures, and what we've discovered in our own careers. And today, because you were here with us live, if you buy your personal career coach in any form, ebook or print book, you send me an email, I'll send you a free copy of your career survival guide ebook as well. So you have both books to set you on to a great, successful 2021 and your job search. And your career survival guide is again, really specific to this time that we're in, and working through a crisis and finding a job, networking, cover letters, resumes, a lot of stuff that we cover today as in that book and in the other book as well. And because I promised everybody a chance to win a copy of your career survival guide, Leonka, do we have a name or a random way to give a copy away?
We do. Hold on one second. If you want to go to the next slide.
Yeah. So while Leonka does that, we are going to send out a copy of the slide deck. I saw that a couple of people have asked that. So you will get all of our contact information for me as well as Jessica. She's offered up her email, a phone number, a website, and on all her social handles. So if you want more information from Jessica, or if you need some specific resume help, I'm sure she would love to hear from you, and Scott as well. He's got his website, his LinkedIn. He's a great speaker and an expert in networking, and he hosts bi-monthly or monthly, Scott, your general assembly that people are welcome
twice a month.
Twice a month.
Yeah.
And so I'll be joining him in early January, so I will send out information on that. But so hopefully you will join us then for a discussion on managing your career as well.
Lillian is our winner.
Yay, Lillian. Oh, I was hoping I was going to see her like jumping up and down, partying or something. I'm sure you have her. I have it in the wrong view. So
there she is.
Oh, there she is. Hi,
Thank
Lillian.
you. I was trying to find the unmute button. Thank you so much. Thanks to everybody.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So thank you, everybody, again. Best of luck in your job search for December. Keep it up. Don't stop. The career opportunities don't stop for the holidays. So that means you can't stop during the holidays either. But use this opportunity to make some great headway, make some new connections, and be off to a successful 2021. We'll hold another one of these in January, and we'll let you know the topic and the time at that time. And we look forward to hopefully seeing everybody then. Until then, happy holidays and happy New Year, and good luck. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Jessica. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Lianka.